Yo, what's up with y'all, man? I hope you're doing good. If you're new and you're a fan of the NBA, subscribe to this channel. So let's get straight into it.
Like it's Minute-Maid, hijack 4, renegade, 24, number 8, Kobe shit fade away, ballin' since 11th grade, still in school, let them hate.
So comparisons are always a fun thing to do. Even though comparing humans to each other may not be the absolute most healthiest thing, we still do it anyways on almost an everyday basis subconsciously, whether it be to ourselves, peers, or even comparing girls to each other, seeing who's better and seeing who has the most potential out of the two. Who's the best prospect? I should probably delete that and redo it because it may get me in just a little bit of trouble, but I'm not. But to get to the topic of today's video, we're comparing these young stars. Now, a couple of these players are actually a part of the first ever comparisons video that I ever made. It was a vibe and thousands of people loved it, and people asked me to do a part 2, and here I am, damn near 12 months later, doing a part 2. It's been a whole year since that video was made, and since then I've developed so many more thoughts and ideas. So this is how we're gonna do things today. I'm not gonna come over here and just tell you guys who each player plays like. No, that's basic and that's average. We don't do that around here. If you know me, you know I had to switch things up. And what I did was switch up the requirements for each comparison. What you need to be able to do is pick 2 NBA players, one from the past and one from the present, and use these 2 players' skills, physical attributes, and all that mentality, every single thing, use that to try to recreate this one player. Our goal is to make A and B collide into one and turn it into this one player. Now, of course, as y'all know, each and every single player, an individual human, is one of one. There ain't no recreate. There is no perfect formula to recreate no Zion, no Ja Morant, or anyone. All of this is just for fun. If you take this seriously, I already know what type of person you are. You're the type to get invited to no parties and you probably get no hoes. That was a bad look. This is a basketball channel and I'm mentioning girls. Let's just cut to the black screen edit, okay? So it's time to bring the big boy out. It's been a whole year, and we only bring this out if we're talking about throwback players, and we've only done that maybe like 3 times on this channel. So this is who I originally compared Zion Williamson to in my throwback video from last year. In order for us to find Zion's match, his comparison, we have to go back in time. But in order to do that around here, you already know what's going on. We gotta bring out our time machine. So we're going all the way back in time to this date right here, 1991.
The Charlotte Hornets select Larry Johnson from University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Larry Johnson from UNLV.
That is the year that someone by the name of Larry Johnson was drafted #1 overall to the Charlotte Hornets. Now, Larry, coming out of college, was a 6'6", 250-pound power forward. Sound familiar? As a rookie, the 6'6" ball of speedy meat that Larry was averaged 19, 11, and 4. Compare that to Zion's 23, 9, and 2 coming out of college, and their playstyles just being too big for people his height while simultaneously being too fast for defenders bigger than them. Allows them to get easy buckets in the transition and in the paint area around loose play situations. Now, Larry Johnson isn't a household name, I'd say, for the average NBA fan, because his career was seriously hindered by injuries. But if he never had that tough setback, we would be talking about this man right here much more often, and we wouldn't have such a hard time trying to compare this man Zion, because this is almost him. If Larry Johnson was to be reincarnated and resurrected on the evil tip, he would literally be what God has blessed Zion to become today. Pretty nice comparison, I'd say. Before that video was made, I didn't see anyone having the same thoughts. But here I am a whole year later with some more thoughts. But this time around, I've been in the lab mixing all types of potions up, and I think I found the perfect crossbreed of the ferocious 6'7", 270-pound power forward Zion Williamson. And as you saw from the thumbnail, the 2 players that I used to combine into one to form Zion Williamson was Russell Westbrook and Zach Randolph. Now, Zion is a very complex player, as we all know. In fact, so complex that I had to use 2 very different positions to create this beast. We rarely see people his height for his position, but yet so powerful, athletic, and strong. Now, I said this last year, but it still literally feels like this man was created in a lab by some coked out scientists. Dudes built like this don't play basketball for real. They're not real hoopers. They're usually on that football field being big time hitters. So when it came to selecting these 2 players for Zion, I had to be specific and careful. These 2 players need to balance each other out and have something that the other doesn't contain. Russ and Zebo are one of my favorite combinations. Now, it definitely isn't the only one that can be made, but it's one that many don't think about. Russ Russ is probably the most athletic PG ever seen, and Z-Bo was one of the more skilled low post players at his time. But he was never ever noticed because of his athleticism. He wasn't a player that was able to work off of it. That's why he lasted so long in the league. He threw a 15-7 at an old 36-year-old age during his last season. With the fusion of those two strengths on the basketball court, Russ's athleticism, tenacity, agility, eagerness, and strong build, combined with Z-Bo's flabby build but savvy low post skills as a lefty, by the way, that might be the closest thing that you get to Zion with this whole combination thing. And it is one of the best combinations and balances that I came up with in this video when it came to recreating this beast. Z-Bo is smart and patient out there on the court. He's never in no rush because he literally can't be physically. But Westbrook, on the other hand, wants to run through someone's face and he only plays at one speed. Z-Bo was never physically imposing and Russ is the complete opposite of that. Do you see the balance that I'm going for? I'm using two polar opposite players to create one. This is the first of many comparisons that I have in store for y'all today. Sit back and chillax. So it's pretty well known that Jayson Tatum has established himself as a top player in this league. He's in convos that just not anybody can be a part of. Tatum is what lottery teams hope and pray to find in the draft. The prototypical versatile three that has a specific type of swag about him. He has all the pretty moves, the step backs, the crossover, the jump shot, and the dunks. He's just smooth with it and hella fluid. And for that, the first player that I'm going to use to recreate Tatum is Paul George. PG is one of the reasons why this stereotype exists. Believe it or not, he's who a lot of these young, lengthy, smooth threes look up to. They're all in the same vein, and even Tatum said it himself in an interview. He's that dude on offense and even took it upon himself to be that dude on defense. Now, the throwback player selected for Jayson Tatum is T-Mac. He's one of the very first of his kind. He's inspired this trend since guys like KD and PG were kids, and it's been kept alive thanks to these two success on the court. T-Mac was a big guard with an unlimited amount of moves in his bag, and most big guards like that, the PGs and Durants of the game, walk in the gym with not just no regular bag, they walk in with that Gucci bag, and guys like Tatum have that Goyard bag on. They're pretty fancy, and those two things have the same type of appeal to the game. You see what I did there? While the average two-guard or small forward in the league carries that Jan Sportsbook bag, you know, it's average and it doesn't turn anyone's head. The fusion of Tracy McGrady, PG, and his defensive prowess is accurate enough, I believe, to create a prospect like Tatum. So the next prospect that we have to try and recreate is the one and only Luka Doncic, aka the best young star in the NBA who hasn't even sniffed his prime yet. Now, Luka is one of the more trickier players to compare, simply because of how great and non-athletic and the pace that he plays at. He's a point forward who isn't an athletic beast, but rather a calculated assassin. An assassin that doesn't need to necessarily play fast at all times or have a quick first step or any real athleticism advantages. His high IQ, poise, and ability to score on all three levels while being one of the best passers in the league is rare. So the best present day comparison for Luka as of now is James Harden. Now, James Harden in many people's eyes isn't a superb athlete, but that's only because he doesn't show it often. I believe that he's a sneaky great athlete. Harden is super light on his feet and has one of the best first steps in the NBA, and also he's low-key a poster machine. He just doesn't boom it often. So outside of the athletic point of view, they're still very comparable. That's not the goal and point of this video though. We're trying to balance things out, and to do so, the perfect counterpart to this that many don't think about is not Larry Bird. Come on now. If I said that wouldn't really be fun at all. Instead of the Larry Bird comparison that everybody says, which isn't necessarily wrong, I'm gonna switch things up a bit and just throw out that Joe Johnson comparison. The way Luka goes about his pick and rolls is essentially the same way that Harden does his, but it just doesn't fit as good visually as Joe Johnson, simply because of their physiques and body type. Now, Joe Johnson was a 6'7" to 8 wing just like Luka Doncic, who wasn't really explosive, but instead they were hella skilled enough to exploit weaknesses on their opposing team defense. Joe Johnson was an elite scorer and shooter basically everywhere on the court. He can hit you with a bucket in every single way imaginable. The only thing that separates these two, Luka and Joe Johnson, is the amount of star power one has and also the elite passing. Other than that, they're really alike. They have stupid similar frames, movements, and are great scorers from everywhere. With Harden's star power and Joe's frame and athletic ability intertwined into one, I believe equals a Luka-like prospect. So speaking of Luka, I guess this would be an appropriate transition to the one and only Trae Young. Now honestly, this isn't the most fun part of the video, because it's clear as day who I'm gonna say. You know this, I can't avoid it. The current day player that I'm using for Trae Young is Steph Curry because he likes to shoot from far away. Secondly, because he's light skinned, and third, they're both scrawny. And the player from the past that I'm using is Steve Nash because he's one of the best passers we've ever seen of the basketball, and they both have similar frames. And Trae, by the way, has consistently put it out there that he's his idol. Yeah, you see, there's not really much to talk about there. So to move on to one of the less obvious comparisons, let's go ahead and talk about Ja Morant. You can tell that he has so many influences in his game from top tier PGs before him. Now, this 6'3" athletic guard is a for sure talented scorer, but he prides himself as a pass first PG. And for that, I have to give him this Rajon Rondo comparison. Now, Rondo, I know know this, trust me, you don't have to type it down below. Rondo plays in the NBA today, but Rondo rates for the Lakers right now, and 2 years from now, maybe 3 years if he's lucky, I don't think he's going to be in the NBA anymore. But that's just me. Now I say Rondo because he's so smart and so calculated with his passes, and he knows his limits as well. Ja rarely ever has an off shooting night from what I've noticed as a rookie. And for someone with all that freedom on the court to not do such a thing, that's impressive. Ja's patience on the court is ridiculous. But what makes him exciting is when he decides to attack and finesse his way into the lane. And for that, he's getting this skinny, high-flying, early John Wall comparison. A young John Wall, unlike Rondo, was hella skinny, athletic, and flashy. Thanks to a young John Wall, Rondo's scoring deficiencies and lack of killer athleticism, we were able to balance out this experiment and come up with our final goal. The last player that I wanted to cover in this video was Shai. I still don't know how to say it, bro, and people are gonna hate me for this. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, whatever. Long, lengthy, crafty guard out of OKC. Honestly, in this part of the video, I kinda got writer's block, only because of how complex of a player SGA is. Now I got the first half of this comparison. All I need you to do, literally all I ask, bro, you don't like my videos, you don't share them, you don't subscribe, you don't do none of that. At least help me with this one thing. Finish this other half of this comparison. Now I got you in the first part, like I said. The present day comparison is Spencer Dinwiddie. Now I know. That doesn't sound too great of a comparison compared to the rest because Spencer Dinwiddie is by far the worst player on this video. But just think about it like this. It took Spencer years to get to the level where he's at right now. And SGA is already there in year 2. What's similar about this two is obviously the physical and how they operate in the paint. They're crafty but not insane athletes at all. Now I'm gonna cut this video short and leave the rest to y'all. It's your job to go ahead and decide which player from the past plays like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or at least can help balance out Spencer Dinwiddie's flaws to complete the goal and objective of this entire video. I got Spencer Dinwiddie already, the rest is on y'all. I'm counting on you. Now this was something different, but something really fun too. If you want more vids like this with kind of crazy ideas, go ahead and let me know. We just took current players and players from the past and tried to fuse them into one to create the prospect that we have in mind. I want you to go ahead and leave your formulas down below in the comment section so we can expand on this combo. This is the end of the video though, man. I really do appreciate you for coming over here on my channel and seeing what I have to talk about today. That is extremely dope of you as usual. Now right before you leave, first off I'm gonna need you to like this video, and secondly I'm gonna need you to share this video in your group chat and say check this out, it's hella dope. And you do that, screenshot, show it to me on Instagram, and I'm gonna give you a shout out. I'm gonna put you on my story. Real shit. I mean real stuff. I wasn't supposed to curse, real stuff. And also right before you leave, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and subscribe to this Evolve channel because I'm posting my first 2v2 or Game of 21 depending on how things plays out sometime this week. I'm for real this time. But aside from all that, I want you to make sure that you make your day great. Until next time, I'll get right with you.
No way, remember back when I couldn't get a play, no home, I ain't have a place to stay, I got to work, made the surf, free the way, told my girl who'd ever thought.